In 1915, a ship called Endurance was slowly crushed to death by Antarctic ice. 28 men watched it sink beneath the frozen sea. No rescue was coming. No radio signal could reach them. The nearest human beings were over 1,000 miles away. Every single one of them survived. But the story history taught you is not the complete story. Because Shackleton knew something before he left London, something he never told his crew. It was August 1914. The world was about to go to war. Ernest Shackleton, British explorer, celebrated hero, stood on the docks of London, preparing to do something no human being had ever done. Cross Antarctica on foot. 2,000 miles of ice. Alone. He placed an advertisement in a London newspaper. History says it read, "Men wanted for hazardous journey. Low wages, bitter cold, long hours of complete darkness. Safe return doubtful. Honor and recognition in event of success." 5,000 men applied. He chose 27. What none of them knew, what Shackleton himself had been warned about by polar veterans before departure, was that the Weddell Sea that year was reporting the worst ice conditions in living memory. He was warned, directly, before he sailed. He sailed anyway, and he told his crew nothing. January 1915. 6 days from their destination, the Endurance stopped moving. The pack ice of the Weddell Sea had closed around the hull like a fist. They waited. Shackleton told them the ice would break. It did not break. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. Here is what history does not fully tell you about those 10 months trapped on the ice. The men were beginning to break. Diary entries from crew members, many not published until decades after the expedition, describe creeping madness, arguments over nothing, men who stopped speaking, others who could not sleep for weeks. One crew member, a carpenter named Harry McNish, openly refused Shackleton's orders. Refused, on a ship trapped in Antarctic ice with no way out. Shackleton's response was extraordinary. He did not punish McNish publicly. He reassigned him, kept him busy, kept him useful. Because Shackleton understood something terrifying, that the real threat to his men was not the ice. It was each other. He organized football matches on the ice, concerts below deck, dog races, anything to stop 28 men alone in the dark at the end of the earth from truly understanding how impossible their situation was. Then, in October 1915, the ice began to move. Not to release them, to destroy the ship. The sound, according to crew diaries, was like cannon fire. The ice was compressing from both sides with a force of millions of tons. The wooden hull of the Endurance, built to withstand polar conditions, began to splinter. On the 21st of November, 1915, Shackleton stood on the ice and watched his ship sink beneath the frozen sea forever. He later wrote in his diary, "I cannot write about it." What followed was 5 months on the drifting ice. Temperatures of minus 30 degrees, permanent darkness for weeks at a time. 28 men sleeping in tents on ice that could crack open beneath them at any moment. They survived by hunting, penguins, seals, and eventually, their own sled dogs. Shackleton ordered the dogs killed personally and made sure the crew understood there was no other choice. He later admitted this was the decision that haunted him most for the rest of his life. When the ice began breaking up in April 1916, they launched 3 tiny wooden lifeboats into the Southern Ocean. the most violent body of water on Earth. Waves the height of buildings, temperatures that killed in minutes. Men so thirsty they chewed ice chips to survive. After 7 days, they reached Elephant Island. It was the first solid ground they had stood on in 497 days. One crew member dropped to his knees and ate handfuls of dirt from the ground. He could not explain why. He simply needed to feel that something solid was real. Nobody was coming to Elephant Island. Nobody even knew they were there. So Shackleton made the decision that historians still struggle to fully comprehend. He took 5 men, a 22-foot wooden lifeboat called the James Caird, and sailed 800 miles across the Southern Ocean to South Georgia Island. 800 miles. In a boat the size of a large living room. Through the most dangerous ocean on Earth, in the middle of winter. The navigator, Frank Worsley, calculated their position using a hand sextant and the stars. In a boat that was constantly moving, in seas that regularly buried them in freezing water. He had exactly 4 clear sightings of the sun in 17 days. 4. By day 12, the boat was so heavily iced over, it was in danger of capsizing. The men chipped ice from the rigging with bare hands in -20 temperatures. One crew member later said he genuinely believed they were already dead and simply had not accepted it yet. After 17 days, they reached South Georgia, but they landed on the wrong side of the island. The whaling station, and safety, was on the other side of an uncharted mountain range that no human being had ever crossed, with no climbing equipment, no maps, no sleep in days. Shackleton, Worsley, and one other man crossed those mountains in 36 hours. Shackleton later said that during the crossing, he had a persistent feeling that there was a 4th person walking with them. Not a man, something else. He never elaborated further. Worsley and the 3rd man reported the same feeling independently. This has never been explained. The slope was so steep and their bodies so destroyed that Shackleton coiled their rope into a crude sled, and the 3 of them slid blindly down hundreds of feet of ice, not knowing what was at the bottom. They landed in a snowbank, alive. They walked into Stromness whaling station on the 20th of May, 1916. The station manager later admitted he had to turn away because he could not stop himself from crying. Shackleton's first question was not about himself. "Tell me, when was the war over?" "The war is not over, Mr. Shackleton. Millions are dying." He had been gone 22 months. The world had not waited. But 22 men were still waiting on Elephant Island. He tried to reach them 3 times. 3 times the pack ice turned him back. On the 4th attempt, the 30th of August, 1916, he broke through. 105 days after he had left them. When the rescue ship appeared, one crew member later wrote that he could not move, could not speak, could not do anything except stand completely still and stare, because he had genuinely stopped believing it would ever come. Every single one of the 22 men was still alive. 28 men, 22 months, not one death. Shackleton never called it a miracle. He simply said, "I did not lose a man," and never spoke about it again. In 2022, 107 years after it sank, a deep-sea expedition found the Endurance. And the ship that started it all sat perfectly intact in the darkness of the deep ocean for over a century, waiting to be found. Some things refuse to stay buried. History is full of stories they told you. Cipher Vault exists for the ones they didn't. If this reached you, subscribe. There is more buried where this came from. Thanks for watching.